It is Aftershocks right here on Aftershocks TV on Heavy Metal Television. And joining us today to talk about his band and a new release coming out and a new tour and all kinds of exciting stuff from the band Artifas is Cody Criswell. Cody, how are you, man?
I'm great, man.
Dude, great to talk to you, man. As I was telling you before we got started, man, loving the music that I'm hearing.
Thank you.
I love personally more than anything when I see young bands that are clearly hungry. And it's very clear looking at you guys. You know, we're in the middle of this pandemic, which is a nightmare. You're booking tours. You're not booking a single tour, but you're literally planning part A and part B.
Mm-hmm.
You're planning releases. You've got a release that's done and that's going to be available to people at shows. It's just good to see a band that hasn't just caved in and said, well, we'll wait till 2022 or 23, man. I got to imagine, though, for an independent, for a young band like you guys, tough to do that, no?
It definitely has its challenges. With the pandemic and everything going on, it's definitely put a damper on things, but not really from our perspective.
Sure.
A lot of people, there's a lot of other bands out there that view this differently than we do, but we just want our lives back. We're tired of not being able to make our money and pursue our dreams and, do what we've been doing for the past decade. So we kind of made the decision as a band that, we were just going to get back out there and go at it again. And, as far as the challenges and it being tough, that's nothing really new to us because, like you mentioned, we're very hungry and, working hard and having to do the heavy lifting ourselves isn't really something that we're new to. So
sure,
it's just another day in the office for us, really. We just hope that everybody stays safe and that all of our fans that come to shows can enjoy themselves.
No question, man. Well, dude, let's go back a little bit before we talk about touring and the record and everything. For people that are not aware of the band yet, why don't you give us, just a brief history of how long you've been a band and how you got together and that stuff?
Okay. Well, the idea of the band, I guess the seed of the band was planted on a trip with Scotty, the singer, and myself. We've been friends for years, even before we were in this band together. We were both in other bands around the local area that kind of shared, gigs together. And we went to see Chevelle for my 18th birthday. He and I did. We drove up. It was like 10 degrees. We went up in a soft top Jeep. It was a miserable experience, but the show was killer. And I remember driving back, and we were just so inspired by the show and just throwing out ideas off of each other, talking about, if we were in a band together, we should do this. And then eventually his band kind of went by the wayside. My band did the same. And we were like, let's start a band together. And that was this band. So we kind of picked, some guys that we knew from around the area and started touring with them for a couple years, released an EP that was produced by Blake Allison, who's the singer of the drummer singer for Devour the Day, the drummer for Egypt Central. Right. He produced our first EP and we toured on that for a couple years. Then a couple of the guys left. They had some kids and life does what it does and it kind of put its hooks in some people. And so we got the new lineup in. We actually knew Anthony, our bassist, because he was in another one of those local bands that we play with all the time. And he came in. We got Mikey. He auditioned to play guitar. All this happened around 2013, 2014, I believe. And then we toured for about a year together. Then we went into the studio in January of 2015, signed a record deal with Round 2 Records. And we recorded our first full-length record, which was Inhuman. Toured really heavily on that for several years. Went on tour with bands like Theory of a Dead Man, Shaman's Harvest, We Are Harlot. There was, a lot of bands that we were super stoked to be playing with.
Sure.
I think at one point the song got up to like number 32. Inhuman did on the Billboard chart. So we were pretty stoked about that. And then, because of a combination of things with that label started to kind of take a not so parallel path, I guess I should say.
Right.
And we ended up, we were on the road for solid 4 years after that, I guess. We went to Japan and we ended up splitting with the label and kind of we're in a situation where we, knew we had another album that needed to come out, but didn't have it ready, I guess.
Right.
So around 2018 or 19, I can't remember exactly which year, but we went on hiatus from the road and started working on our new record. We recorded, with a couple people, wrote with a lot of different co-writers, and really just spent the greater part of, I guess, a year, maybe even 2 years, writing and just reconstructing songs over and over again. And we got to the point to where we were just really not really, digging a lot of the stuff that we were getting back. And
Okay.
there was just things that we felt were missing, or that, things that didn't feel like us. So we actually scrapped it all again and decided to, jump into the ocean of production and do it ourselves for the first time.
Nice.
So we reconstructed all the songs, re-recorded everything, did all the production stuff, and then had it mixed and mastered by Forrester Savell, who is one of our favorite mix and master engineers from Australia.
Sure.
And that's kind of where we're at. We're just trying to get back out on the road and get back to what we do best. We love playing music and hanging out with our friends, and that's just really, that's our story.
Right.
It's been a long one. There's a lot more that happened in between there, but that's the highlights.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Well, from reading your bio and from hearing you, sounds like you got really fucked over by the record company. It just sounds like they charged you a bunch of money and didn't give you the product that you
Okay, so
did.
I guess I skipped a part there. If you're reading the bio, the part that you're referring to is actually, I will speak pretty candidly about that because
Sure.
I don't care. But the first thing we ever did as a band, and there's actually a song about it on our first EP called Suffocate. We went up to Louisville, Kentucky. Never had played a show. I was about 3 months out of high school, I think.
Okay.
And we went up to record a record with the singer of Tantric.
Okay.
And a lot of things happened. Fast forward about 9 to 10 months later, and we don't have our record done. We've paid this guy over 16 grand, and he snorted it all up his nose in cocaine.
Oof.
So that was like, day one of our
Right.
band.
Oh,
um,
jeez.
the other situation with the record label, they didn't necessarily, fuck us, but it was just kind of a difference of opinions. And we're a very headstrong group of guys. We don't, we kind of just want to do our own thing.
Sure.
And they didn't really gel with that idea too much. So we just kind of agreed to, go our own way.
Sure. What was that a difficult decision? Not necessarily because you weren't gelling together, but it did seem, at least outsider looking in, it does seem like they were they were at least helping you make the right moves as far as, like you said, you were on some really good tours with some really good bands. It's got to be a little scary to walk away and then just say, well, we're going to do it ourselves.
I don't know really how much detail I can give away about how those opportunities came about, but I will say that, you know, we were signed to the label, but all the opportunity that we had did not come by their making.
Okay. Sure.
We actually had, I will say this, we had a Lagunitas craft beer endorsement at the time.
Okay.
And when we went out with Theory of a Dead Man, they facilitated that for us. They hooked us up with that opportunity, and that was awesome.
Right.
So
Nope.
it's
No question.
it was definitely, it was a hard decision, I think, to make, because it got to the point where we had been off the road for a while, and after the first single came out, that we didn't have a plan in place, I guess, to go with another single. And it got to the point to where the label was kind of just like, you know what, you guys can handle this on your own. If you
Sure.
can do it on your own, that's fine. And we were like, well, then what's the point in having a label if we're going to have to
Right.
do everything ourselves? And that was just kind of what it was. They didn't understand that we needed to be on the road playing shows, and that's the kind of band we are. And they just disagreed with our vision, I guess. So we had to
Sure.
ultimately split up.
Sure. Well, I'll give it to you guys, man. You're definitely headstrong, which is a which is a rare thing these days. And truthfully, through almost all of the history of professional music or the music business, you know as well as I do, and I'm sure you've heard every horror story about every band known to man getting completely screwed over by agents, publicists,
Yeah, I
tour
mean,
managers, etc.
it
It's
happens everywhere, every day. I mean, if we hadn't already been screwed so many times in our career and, know what to look for, it would probably still happen to us every day. And
sure.
it really is, one of those industries where you've got to know how to look out for yourself, and you got to
Right.
have a team of people you can trust.
Right. What's the old adage in the business? You're not really in the business till you get fucked over twice.
I've been in the business for a while then.
Very nice, man. Well, dude, I gotta say and again, this is pretty much from the bio because I don't know a ton about the band,
Sure.
but it does really seem like you guys are very picky about every aspect of your band, not
We've
just
become that way. It hasn't
with
always been that way, I will say, you kinda gotta live through a lot of it to learn what you like and what you
sure,
don't like, and, like, the studio situation, we've been a band for 10 years now, and this is the first record, where we've taken the reins fully ourselves on the production side of things, so we're still, slowly pulling everything and because we have such a strong vision for this group. There's 5 of us, and each of us, even within the band, we fight
sure,
each other because we're so just,
right,
like we want this band to be successful, and we all feel like we know what, that's going to take. So it just is really hard for us to put ourselves in situations where we work with other people and they don't share those ideas
right,
because, we feel like we know what we want.
sure. Do you worry at all that that might end up giving you like a cap at how far you can go because your creativity and what you expect as a band is already defined?
At this point in our career, I don't, just because I feel like we don't really we don't really write a lot as a group.
Okay,
We kind of put it off and let it build up. That way when it's time to do it, it just comes like pouring out. And I don't really see any lack of fresh ideas. I feel like with this new record, we were writing and writing and writing, and I feel like we're already kind of ready to write another one, even though this one's not already out. So we're getting comfortable, I think, with where we're at. And as far as production goes, maybe there's a cap, but Scotty and I are so, into this music and just absorbing it, like sponges, that I feel like we're going to continue to grow on that side as well. So it's just one of those things where I don't know if there's a cap. Maybe there is, but
right.
if there is, I don't see it just yet.
Right. Very cool, man. Well, dude, obviously you do have this new release coming in January called Reflections. And tell us a little bit about it, man. Tell us how it's different from the previous stuff.
Yeah. Well, aside from the fact that it's the first, body of work that we've produced and pretty much written ourselves, we did do some co-writes, but um, I would say lyrically, I like to talk about this. Scotty and I have been kind of bouncing this one around lately, but our last record, because Scotty's a very optimistic person, he likes to, see that brighter side of the coin, whereas I'm kind of the opposite, and we're the yin and the yang, I guess.
Right.
And our last record was very like positive, even though it was still on negative topics, I guess. We were talking about things that weren't necessarily good, but our outlook on it was like, we're going to overcome this, or this isn't, going to ruin us. Whereas the new record, I think we kind of took a little bit more of a vulnerable approach. And we were just going through a lot of stuff while we were making the record. We were on like a 2-3 year hiatus, and then COVID hit. It was just like all these things, and we had to have a lot of conversations about whether we were going to be a band.
Sure.
So I think that vulnerability and a lot of the darkness that was happening during those conversations made its way into the sound of the record. So I would call this kind of our sad record. It's not like
Okay.
slow, but high energy sad boys, if that's a thing. I don't know.
Sure.
um, as far as the title of the record, we named it Reflections just because to us it felt like all these songs were separate journal entries that we were writing, and it was
Okay.
almost like when we listened to it or read through the lyrics that we were, reliving an incident or reflecting on something that had happened from our past.
Right.
So that's kind of where the title came from.
Okay, cool. Now, how you've got a couple of singles out there, a few singles out. How has the reaction been from not only from fans that are already following you, but are you seeing a bump? Are you seeing new people that are discovering the music?
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely, I don't really know how to judge that, I guess, but I definitely see new comments and stuff. I guess the real test will be when we're playing the shows. Hopefully, there'll be some
Sure.
new faces show up. But it seems like all the reaction is really good. A lot of our already fans, are really digging it, and they seem to think that, we're on to something compared to where we were. And I do notice a certain amount of new folks coming in onto our socials and stuff like that. So from where I'm sitting, it's definitely, we're moving in the right direction.
Right. Well, and it's definitely positive as you're getting ready to go out on tour to see new numbers, higher numbers on
Sure.
socials instead of, hey, lost 15 today or what,
Yeah, it's great.
which,
We welcome everyone. We spend a lot of time on our socials and stuff trying to tailor things and just make it to where when people come there, they've got plenty of stuff to keep them interested, and that's what we're in it for. So come one, come all.
exactly, man. Well, dude, you guys are up getting ready to go out on tour for the 2021 tour, part
Mhm.
one.
Yeah,
Talk a little bit about this, man. It's not a long tour, but it's longer than a lot of bands are doing right now because of the climate. So talk a
sure.
little bit about this, man.
Well, right now we've got part one of the tour. There's going to be two parts. We're kind of splitting it up around the holidays. And really, man, our only goal, like I said, is just to get back out there and get in front of our fans and get our feet wet again. We know people are going to be kicking back up next year, hopefully, and we just want to kind of be on the razor's edge for that. We've missed playing shows, and it's just time. So that's the whole thing behind the 2021 tour. We really just couldn't come up with a better name. We were like, well, it's the only tour we're going to do in 2021, so I guess it
Right.
makes sense. But we're splitting it up. We're going out. First show is October 29th. It's going to go up to November 20th, I think, is the end of that first run. Then we'll go home for about a week and a half, do the holiday thing, and eat way too much Thanksgiving food.
Right.
And then we're working on the second half of it right now. That's supposed to kick up around the 1st of December and then go till right up before, obviously, Christmas. And then we'll just kind of kill it for the year and start looking at what's next for 2022.
Sure. Will part one and part two be different from a show standpoint because the record will be out?
No, the record won't be out till January and the tour will be over then. So that I didn't even think about that. Luckily, that's not an issue because my brain would be like, "No, we have to change things now." But no, we're gonna hit different locations on each different leg of this tour.
Okay.
The first leg of it is mostly kind of like the Northeast, and then the second leg we're gonna be hitting Florida, Louisiana, Texas, and coming right back before Christmas. And then hopefully, early 2022, we're looking at going out west and doing some of those more sparsely populated states.
Okay. Middle of the country stuff, right?
Yeah, where all the beauty is, but few of the people are.
Right, exactly. Now, man, you're obviously aware of it as we all are. COVID is really messing with touring. Every band, every day I go to Blabbermouth and it's tour canceled, shows canceled, tour canceled. For a band like yours that doesn't have Metallica money, that's a very dangerous risk to be out in Butte, Montana or somewhere and, have somebody get COVID. Do you guys worry about that and worry that it could really hurt you?
It's definitely something, that's on our minds, but I don't really want to get too far into, our beliefs on COVID or whatnot, because this isn't the place for that. But we're just really trying to do our best to, put that aside until it becomes an issue. And it may become an issue. We're going to do everything we can to, kind of make sure that it doesn't become one. But we could fall victim like anyone else could. So it's definitely on our minds,
Sure. I get it, man. Well, dude, as you said, the 2021 tour part one starts off on October the 29th. Where does it start off at?
Huntsville, Alabama at Shag Nasty's.
Very cool, man. And then it goes for roughly a month and a half, I think.
I want to say it's like 22 days is the first part. And then I haven't counted the second leg yet, but yeah, it'll probably be a little bit over a month once it's all said and done.
Okay, very good. And then obviously in January, Reflections will be available to everybody. So
Indeed.
Why don't you tell everybody, Cody, where they can go to keep up with the band and buy Reflections and or pre-order or all that good stuff?
Okay, well, keeping up with the band's pretty easy. We're everywhere. So Spotify, Apple Music, Facebook, Instagram, Bands in Town, YouTube. I'm probably missing some, but if you've got it, then we're probably on there. As far as getting your hands on the new record, you can come to a show and you can get a physical copy. That will be the only place where the full record will be available until January 14th.
Okay.
Online, you'll be able to listen to all of our new singles as they come out one by one until the record drops. and those will be on the Spotify's, the Apple Music's, pretty much anywhere that you listen to music. We got some music videos you can check out on our YouTube and Facebook page. We're actually shooting another one next week.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean, come to a show, grab a CD, and if you can't make it to a show, then maybe we'll have the record online for you to jam in the next couple of months.
Very good, man. Well, one more time, the record, when it comes out, will be called Reflections. It's due in January, and of course, the touring in late October and November. So make sure you go out and check out Artifas. And
Yes.
Cody, thanks so much for joining us here on Aftershocks.
Thanks for having me.